Hi, just recorded a track and I thought I'd do a bit of a breakdown of what's happening and what I'm doing and kind of where I'm going with the Syntrx and what I've been trying to do with it over the past kind of month that I've had it. So 3 stars of the show. We've got the Syntrx II, Digitone II, and the Syntrx II is running in through the Ghost pedal. So let's just start, because I will move the camera and there'll be time codes to sort of go through talking about what each one's doing. And if there's time and this video doesn't go ridiculously long, we'll have a look at the visual setup as well. Maybe that's a second video. We'll just see how it goes. So the routing of this is the Digitone II is the master clock. So it's sending out clock send and transport send, MIDI out into the Syntrx. The Syntrx is both receiving clock and receiving MIDI notes. And so I have channel 16 on here set up. Let's just go to channel 16. Let's turn the keyboard on and I can play the Syntrx from here. And just on channel 1, it's going out. I do have the keyboard set up with a scale that's chosen a root note. I need to just change that scale. There we go. That'll do. Maybe. Yeah, let's try that one. And I've got keyboard fold on. Cool. So I've also got MIDI through, going out of the Syntrx and coming into the Ghost pedal, so that my delays will be synced. So the Ghost can have MIDI in and it can sync both the internal modulation and the delay. So I've got the delay synced going through there. Audio is stereo out, so output channels 1 and 2 from the Syntrx coming in stereo into the Ghost. Stereo out from the Ghost is coming into the Digitone and is being just fed straight in. It's going straight in, it's not doing anything in particular. I don't have effects or anything, I've just kind of got the levels. All the effects are going to be taken care of in the Ghost. So that's the basic kind of setup. When I was building this, I had an idea in mind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to create like a 5-step baseline, low frequency pulse with the Syntrx. But then I wanted to be able to make sure that it could go from being distinct notes to a drone as well. Because what I've been trying to do with the Syntrx is set up this sort of, you know, synth guitar doom, or doom guitar synth, or doom synth guitar like stuff with it. So we'll move the camera in a second, we'll talk about that, but it's really kind of utilizing the Ghost pedals cabinet and distortion capability to be able to get that kind of overdriven guitar kind of sound with it. And then if I was successful in that, the other thing that I wanted to be able to do was be able to kind of bring some kind of feedback sort of sound into it, you know, like if you're playing kind of doom guitars, chug chug chug, you want to kind of get some feedback in. So I've got something happening in that as well. So we'll have a look at that. Let's do that now. So I'm just gonna make you dizzy by moving the camera See if I can get it in a little bit closer here. Oh, I've got some stuff down here that the tripod's in the way. Oh, and look where you're looking. There we go. And it looks like it's in focus and there's good exposure. So great, excellent. All right, so what's happening in the Syntrx? The first thing is like the oscillators in it are just amazing. They're really rich. They're just sound absolutely bonkers lovely. And you don't have to do a lot. You can't do a lot because there's kind of these limitations in it. So it's nice because you're kind of working within this really well thought out, well designed instrument and its limitations. I mean, you look at something like the patch panel and you think, oh, like there's a whole bunch of options there. But it actually has some things you kind of got to work around to make it work. So that's what's really fun. It does feel like, I said to a friend, that it's like playing chess in a way. You start with a kind of a blank board, because if you kind of go to a blank patch and you do that, that's where you start. You start with a completely blank board, and then you kind of start to make connections to be able to make it all work. So this is the patch that I made, and we're just going to kind of talk through what's happening. So starting at the top, I'll use the little flashy as an indicator of where we're going. So the very first thing is the square wave output of oscillator 1. I've got going into the envelope signal. The trapezoid on the Syntrx is really, really interesting because when I first got it, what I thought it was just an envelope generator. So an attack, kind of like a hold section and also a decay. And then you've got the signal here, and then you can actually set the time of the re-triggers, or if it's on manual, then you're using the gate to be able to trigger it, or an external MIDI signal as to what we've got going on at the moment. So, but what it is as well is it's the VCA, and it takes the trapezoid signal and controls the VCA for the synth. So over here, where I've got oscillator 1 going into envelope signal, this is essentially me routing it into the VCA. And the envelope signal is then, this is like a volume control of that signal. And when I hit this, you can see over here, I've just got the square wave up. So we're just listening to that. And that's the start of the patch. So I've also got the sine wave from oscillator 1 going directly into the output. So if I bring this up, you'll hear that just coming out of channel 1 output. I do this because it's something that I've learnt from the patch notes that are on the Erica Synths site, and I'll put a link in the comments to that, because it gives almost kind of like a stereo sort of feel. And so when I combine this with the ring modulator, I just need to bring up, we're already kind of getting a bit of a stereo sort of feel, something that's different in the left and right outputs. And because I've got a bit of modulation coming into oscillator 2, and also the shape being modulated of both of the oscillators, just getting like this kind of bit of movement. So these are patched directly into the output. So this output here, and then if you come down to the ring mod, you can see it's patched into the output directly as well. So it's another sort of layer of drone that I can bring in if something's being kind of coming in through the envelope. Cool. I also do have the sine wave of oscillator 2 going into the envelope signal as well, just for some extra, because I am looking at sort of overdriving and getting quite a hot signal coming out and then taming it with the Ghost, which is just down there. And then I've also got the sine wave going into the ring mod A input. So the ring mod sits up here. It's got different inputs as to what the source B is. So you choose source A here, and then you can choose source B there. So I've got oscillator 1 being ring modding oscillator 2, and then we can just do the level. If I bring up the sine wave, we can hear the ring modulator output. And it is kind of cool because you won't hear the ring mod, even if the oscillator 2 inputs are up. I won't hear that until I actually increase the level of the sine wave or my source for that. Cool, so that's that row. I've also got oscillator 2 going directly into the filter. And then oscillator 3 is playing on modulation duties. And it's doing a couple of different things. The first thing is the full value of the modulation signal is going to oscillator shape. So if I bring up oscillator 3, you can hear it changing the shape. Cool. And then I've also got oscillator 3. Now, when you're patching on the Syntrx, so you're using these two knobs to kind of go around. If I press the right-hand knob, it'll give me a full value modulation or a full value connection. But if I press the left-hand knob, it actually has 3 graduations of modulation. So you're attenuating that modulation as it comes through. And so I just have a little bit of oscillator 3 going into oscillator 2. And the reason for this is, if you think about a guitar is essentially a 6-string synthesizer, isn't it? It's a 6 oscillator synthesizer. So each string is an oscillator. I mean, I know that you can get multiple harmonics coming out of each string as well. But yeah, if you think about it like that. So, and then the way that it makes a sound is kind of how you're plucking it or how you're strumming it. So if I'm thinking about the idea of the Syntrx being like a doom guitar synth, then I want to add movement into the oscillators. So there becomes kind of extra layers of harmonics, or there's, yeah, just lots and lots of modulation going on. So my idea is kind of linked to this. It is that oscillator 2 is being, its frequency is being modulated by oscillator 3. However, I have it the sync on, so that oscillator 2 syncs to oscillator 1. So it'll stay in frequency as such, because each time that oscillator 1 resets, oscillator 2 will reset. So they will stay connected, but along with the shape modulation and also with a little bit of frequency modulation coming from oscillator 3 into oscillator 2, you're going to get this extra layer of oscillator movement, which will hopefully sort of translate into, you know, that kind of guitar chugga 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 sort of sound. That's the plan. And you can hear that if we just kind of play with the ring mod really quickly. And we've got the sine coming in, so you can hear that. And then if we So that's the idea. How do I get these oscillators kind of going crazy but still sort of stay within a controllable space to work with? Cool. I've got the sample and hold also going to the filter frequency. So here, if I flick this switch, it'll change it from oscillator 3's square wave to a sample and hold circuit. So I've got the sample and hold circuit going to the filter frequency as kind of like a bit of extra. And oh, I thought I had, oh, I didn't save it. I was also going to just have my, X value of my joystick go to my sample and hold input to give me a point of connection for it to actually sample as it goes through. And then I've just kind of got this set as a time. I've got noise output. I've got noise going both into the filter and into the effects. So if the filter is doing its job and filtering, that's working, but then I can also have noise happening. Oh, sorry, I've got the effects down, that's why. I really, really like the way they've implemented noise on this, because if you take the noise down into the lower frequencies, it just gets kind of really hectic. And when you have some oscillators going, it's almost like a downsampling kind of bit crushing sort of feel to it. So yeah, that works. So when everything's kind of playing, I can just bring noise in as I need it, as an extra sort of layer, and to think about using this as a bit of a transition in the set as well, or in the song, in the track. Cool, we're getting there. The filter goes directly out to channels 1 and 2. But then I also have envelope signal going into the filter and then into the effects as well. So it's all sort of running through. And I've got the trapezoid going to the filter as well. So that just kind of gives it an extra little bit of sort of pluckiness as the Digitone's playing. I've got the 5-note track or loop that's happening on the Digitone. So I'll just play that and show you what's happening. So one of the notes in that sequence I have set to some probability, so it's not always going to be kind of triggering it. Cool, so that's where we are down here. We spoke about the ring mod. I've got that going directly into channel 2 output, but then also going into the effects. And then I've got my effects coming out, so set to delay, and that's going directly into channel 2 and 1 outputs. And then my Y joystick is set to my filter frequency. So I can open the filter at any point with the joystick. And then the X value I've got set to decay, so it goes from pluck, 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 pluck. So that idea that I wanted to do of being able to go from, you know, actual triggered notes to a drone is exactly what I want to do. And this is good because I think, happy to be corrected, is I can set the range of modulation that happens with this, with the actual decay knob as well. But I've got my levels up at 10. So that is the Syntrx doing its thing, and that's how I've got everything else. So a couple of the things that I'm doing when I'm performing as well is, we spoke about that idea of that sort of feedback, and that's going to be me playing with the octave of oscillator 2 as it plays. And then the other things that I can kind of play with, I spoke about the noise, being able to use that for sort of transitions as kind of like a build up, and then being able to drop things out. And then also with the ring modulator input. And then obviously, you know, got the joystick to be able to play with all those elements and resonance. So it's quite sort of tactile and hands-on with this. I'm going to just quickly turn on the Ghost so that you can hear where it's setting, and then I'll move the camera and we'll look at what the settings are on the Ghost for this. But yeah, just want you to hear what it sounds like with all the effects. Let's go. Cool. I'm kind of happy. I think that's synth doom guitar stuff. Yes. Okay, let's just reposition really quickly and look at the Ghost. Down. That looks in focus to me. Could be a little bit soft. Anyway, I'm not going to fiddle with it. waste your time. Okay, so the Ghost multi-effects, it has distortion, like a DJ low pass, high pass filter with resonance that you can change between either low pass, high pass, band pass, or a comb filter. It's got a reverb that you can have as a whole shimmer, a reverse reverb, or a spring reverb. And it's just kind of easy. You press the button, it'll change the different models. It's got a delay and how many taps, how many repeats. Every time you hit shift, anything that's kind of in lowercase writing next to these, that gives you the controls of that. You can either hold shift and turn something, or you can press it and it'll just hold it, and then you can kind of do that. So it's like 2 pages of how that works. Delay, volume, and then the volume can also double as a bit crusher in there as well. But what's really fun is being able to set up 6 different configurations of how the effects are working. So in this case, I've got the FX, so the delay into the reverb, it's going into the filter, and then it's coming into the distortion on the output. I've also got a fair amount of cabinet set up, so like an amp simulator cabinet, just for that kind of extra doom guitar synth feel. And then I've just kind of set my different tones, and I've got no resonance on the filter to be able to go through. Lovely that it's got presets, so I've saved this preset into number 3, and we could start by just turning everything down and pressing play. Delay. Reverb. This does have cabinet on it already, and then distortion. Lovely. Love that it's stereo. Love the flexibility of being able to route things through. Love the cabinet function on there. Very, very good. Okay, let's now just move the tripod one more time and have a look and see what's going on with the Digitone. It's about as close as I'm going to get, unfortunately. I've got a prime lens on this, so it's not really going to... That looks good. It's pretty dark. Maybe that helps you see it a bit more. Okay, cool. All right, so like I said, track 16, 5-note step. On one of these, I've got a higher octave set, and it's at 47%. So when it's playing, How funny is that? It's triggering, it's just triggered so many times in a row, and I've got the probability set to 47%. Anyway, that's all good. So I've got that going. Other stuff that I've got going on here is a kick. And with that kick, I've got it set up. I think I've said this before. I always kind of have my kick on 9. I've kind of put my way I work with the Digitone is having my percussion on the bottom row, and then I'll put other bits and pieces on the top row. But I've really only got 4 sounds going on in here for the full track. And so I've got some sidechain set up. So with the rumble that I've got going on over in here, it'll sidechain that, it'll sidechain my snare and this. Still no sidechaining. I'd really like it if there was some way of sidechaining the left and right inputs. That's what was really great on the Syntrx, was having that effects block, and then you could you know, sidechain all the way through. But you know, this is a proper compressor in here, and I think on the Syntrx it was, you know, you would just kind of duck with LFOs to be able to get that sidechain going on. Maybe I should read the manual. Maybe there is a way that this would work over what the inputs are doing. Anyway, so I've got a rumble set up. So I've got the kick happening. This kick is featured in one of my other videos. So if you go back and look at anything in the Digitone, I think it was in Welcome to the Rumble on the Digitone, and I kind of started with a preset on that kick and then sort of tweaked it and got it to where I wanted it to go. I have, for that track, I've actually got it playing at half speed. Oh, wait. I've got it playing at quarter speed. But it is the same drum pattern that is on the rumble, but it was just kind of too hectic. And so I slowed this track down to quarter time. And that kind of got it working in the space that I was really sort of happy with. So if you look at, this is track 10, this is the rumble, exactly the same pattern, but this one's just happening at quarter time. And so you get this kind of really nice sort of pulsing of the rumble that's happening. And if we go over there, we can just have a quick look and see what it's doing. So basically it's just, you know, the filter's quite closed. So where the filter on this track is an EQ, and it's just boosting that main frequency of the kick. On this one, I've just low frequenced it. I've got the effects kind of going nuts, lots of reverb, lots of delay, and then it's just doing that. Super. I don't even think I've got any modulation on that. I don't. That's just all it's doing, is just cutting off all of the highs. Oh, I should do that where it's just kind of giving the kick, the main kick, a little bit of room in the low frequencies. Cool. I just have to say again how much I love the bit reduction and sample rate reduction in this machine. And being able to set it like pre-filter, post-filter is really quite amazing for both the overdrive and that. So you're getting that kind of really weird over time. Yeah, love it. What else have I got? I've got a snare that's happening on here. It's set to 5 and 13, but playing over multiple tracks, and I've got a whole bunch of what do we call it? Parameter locks, P-locks, on a lot of these steps. So let's have a listen to so I've got the amp decay also set with a random changing at every trigger point, and a fair amount of depth, so it'll go from kind of quite short snares to big long tails, and that'll happen randomly as it goes through. And then also having a whole bunch of stuff kind of parameter locked on a few of these steps. So, you know, points where it goes into massive delays and the bitrate reduction goes all the way down. And that's what's kind of just getting that constant morphing, changing. And I've got one more track. I have been cheating because I've been going into the presets and finding presets every now and then, but then, you know, tweaking them a little bit. But I have track 12, just kind of playing this. It's a xylophone preset, but it's a little bit messed up, and I played it with the arpeggiator across a number of different octave ranges, and then recorded that in as a sequence. So on that track, yeah, it already came with a whole bunch of sort of modulation in it. Yeah, so these just sort of, these notes jump up and down, and I have the arpeggiator running on it. Syntrx. Cool. Look, you're all out of focus with that. Sorry about that. Let's just try and bring you back. Okay, it's not your eyes. Thanks very much. Thanks for playing. That's it. That's the 3. Yes, we've gone way too long. I'm going to do another video on what's happening with the visuals. So if you're interested in that, do that. If you want more of this stuff, like, subscribe, leave a comment, say hi. Thanks very much for playing. Let's see you again sometime soon.